Welcome back. So, this week in the world of AI was pretty wild. We saw a $10 billion deal for computer chips, a huge step toward AI that actually knows you personally, and a travel giant planning to basically reinvent your vacation from the ground up. But what's the real story behind all these headlines? Well, let's dive in and figure it out.
So AI is definitely everywhere, but where's the real action happening? To get to the bottom of it, we're going to peel back the layers. First up, what's the actual fuel that's powering this entire AI revolution? Then we'll get into how AI is starting to know you on a really personal level. And finally, we'll see how a major travel company is using all this tech to completely change how we see the world.
All right, first, let's talk about power. And I don't just mean any power. I'm talking about the raw, digital horsepower that makes AI work. You know, in the world of AI, having access to the best computer chips is literally like having the fastest car on the racetrack. And right now, we're seeing this huge divide open up between the haves and the have-nots. On one side of that divide, you've got China's AI ambitions hitting a pretty major roadblock. See, US rules are cutting off their direct access to the most powerful chips from Nvidia. This means Chinese developers have to get really creative, using these complicated and not so efficient workarounds, like renting computing power in other countries. And the result of all that? Well, as one researcher pointed out, the performance gap with the US might actually be getting wider. Their resources are just stretched so thin that they're stuck focusing on today's apps instead of inventing tomorrow's breakthroughs. And then, on the complete other end of the spectrum, you have this absolute bombshell of an announcement. OpenAI, the company behind ChatGPT, just revealed this massive partnership with a hardware company called Cerebras. And this isn't just about getting a few more chips. This is a strategic power play to lock down a huge, dedicated pipeline of computing power.
And when I say massive, I am not kidding. We're talking about a multi-year deal valued at over $10 billion. That is a staggering investment, and it sends a really clear message. In this race for AI dominance, having dedicated super-fast hardware is everything. It is king.
So what does this actually mean for you and me? Well, it means 750 megawatts of power is going to be dedicated to something called inference. The easiest way to think about inference is that it's the AI's thinking time, that split second it takes to come up with an answer for you. For anyone who uses tools like ChatGPT, this huge power boost means faster, more natural, real-time conversations. It's really the difference between a chatbot that kind of lags a little and a seamless AI companion that feels like it's right there with you. Okay, so let's shift gears. We're going to move from the raw power of all that hardware to something way more personal. Because all that computing power is pretty useless if it can't do something that's uniquely helpful for you, right? Well, it looks like Google is taking a huge step in exactly that direction. So here's the deal. Google is rolling out a brand new beta feature for its AI assistant, Gemini, and is designed to do one thing: transform Gemini from just a general knowledge tool into a true personal assistant that actually understands the context of your life. I mean, just imagine an AI that doesn't just answer your questions, but actually anticipates what you need. They're calling it personal intelligence. And the idea behind it is actually pretty simple, but really powerful. You can choose to let Gemini securely connect to your personal info that's already in your Google Apps. We're talking about stuff in your Gmail, your photos, your search history, all to give you truly tailored help. Now, how does this actually work in the real world? This minivan example is kind of wild. So imagine you're standing at a tire shop and you have no idea what your minivan's tire size is. You just ask Gemini. It doesn't just search the web, no. It looks at your Google Photos from past road trips to suggest all-weather options. It finds the specific trim of your van from a receipt in your Gmail, and it even pulls your license plate number from a photo. That is a completely different level of assistance. Of course, I know what you're thinking. The second you hear accesses your personal data, the privacy alarm bells start going off, right? But Google is really trying to emphasize that you are in the driver's seat here. This whole feature is opt-in, meaning it's turned off by default. You get to control exactly which apps it connects to, and this is critical. They say your personal emails and photos are not being used to train their main AI models for everybody else. They're only used to help you right in that moment. Okay, so we've seen this intense race for power and this big push for personalization. So what happens when you put those two things together? Well, you get the potential to completely transform a major industry, and this week, the spotlight is on travel. It looks like it's about to get a major AI upgrade. The big move here comes from Airbnb. They just hired a guy named Ahmad Al-Daleh as their new chief technology officer. Now, this isn't just some random executive hire. This guy used to lead generative AI at Meta, and he spent 16 years at Apple. Bringing in someone with that kind of resume is a huge statement. It's kind of like a sports team signing a superstar player. You just know they are serious about winning.
And this quote from Airbnb's CEO Brian Chesky just lays out their vision perfectly. He's not thinking about just booking a room anymore. He's imagining an AI-powered travel concierge, a companion that's with you, helping you plan, navigate, and experience your entire trip. This is really the endgame, when you combine all that computing power with deep personalization.
So let's put it all together. A chip divide, a personal AI, and a travel revolution. What does this all mean for you? What's the real so what from this week's AI news? Well, first, the AI race is, at its core, a race for power. Access to computing power is like the new oil, and it's defining who's going to lead and who's going to follow. Second, AI is evolving so fast from just a simple search tool into a personal co-pilot, one that understands the context of your life to help you navigate it better. And third, entire industries are on the verge of a massive transformation. Companies like Airbnb are not just tech companies anymore, they're becoming AI companies, and they are betting everything on this tech to reinvent their business. And that really leaves us with the big question of the week, and maybe even the decade. We've seen that AI is getting incredibly powerful, and it's getting deeply personal. And that line between a helpful assistant and, an intrusive observer is getting thinner and thinner every single day. So the ultimate question becomes, who will you trust? We'll be back next week to explain what happens next.